It's time for us to resist. They can't arrest all of us. They can't keep all of your kids home from school. They can't keep every government building closed. We don't have to accept the mandates, lockdowns, and harmful policies of the petty tyrants and bureaucrats. We can simply say no, not again.
Yeah, Republican Senator Rand Paul there urging Americans, Heather, to fight back against the government's COVID fear-mongering. He spoke for, I think it was 2 minutes, something like that, essentially encouraging people to have civil disobedience. I think a lot of people have reached that point.
Yeah, you know, he continued blasting the CDC, also the President Biden's anti-science mandates. Listen.
President Biden, we will not accept your agency's mandates or your reported moves towards a lockdown. No one should follow the CDC's anti-science mask mandates. And if you want to shut down federal agencies again, some of which aren't even back to work yet, I will stop every bill coming through the Senate with an amendment to cut their funding if they don't come back to work in person.
All right, let's bring back our panel. Melanie, we'll start with you. Your response to what the senator had to say.
Listen, I'm torn with what the senator has to say. I cannot express how much I absolutely adore Senator Rand Paul. That's first off and foremost. But, and I think he's absolutely right about the CDC. They've been sending us mixed messages from the word go, from the beginning of this pandemic. So I agree with him about them not necessarily following the science. I'm a little weary about this Delta variant, and maybe I'm buying into the hype a little bit too much. I don't think that we should be doing lockdowns. I think parents should be able to decide about the masks. But everybody, you know, I'm unvaccinated, so I'm always wearing my mask. Maybe masks are not helping. I wear a KN95 mask. But I think, why not just wear my mask? Well, so I'm like a little different than the rest of the conservatives out there who don't want to wear their masks. I'm like, why not? If it helps, why not do that? I don't have a problem with it. But I completely understand where Senator Rand Paul is coming from as well.
Yeah, but I also, as a parent, and my wife's a teacher, Melanie, I completely understand that you're saying you're concerned that the Delta variant may be a little different. It seems to be hitting younger people, so there is good. But I think, Ford, the whole thing is you should have the choice. You should be able to choose what you want to do instead of the government telling you what to do.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why Senator Rand Paul is right overall. Look, America's been saddled with COVID for 17 months, and I don't care about the Delta variant or a Lambda variant. By now, most people know what's best for them and their families. And if you believe wearing a mask works for you, as Melanie does, that's great. If you believe social distancing works for you, that's great too. If you believe you should stay home, that's great too. But please stop pushing the unscientific, paranoid beliefs onto the rest of us, because we've got to get on with our lives.
Yeah, and Heather, there's also a paper that shows, a new peer-reviewed paper, that aerosols, and I think you pointed this out yourself, that aerosols play a major role in COVID transmission, those fine aerosols, you know, like little spray out of your mouth. And they constituted 85% of the viral load detected, and masks can block droplets, but not aerosols. So, Heather, some people are saying, the masks, are they even working?
Right. And so I think a lot of folks, you know, including many doctors that we've had on talking with us, do question the CDC when it comes to guidance when there's not scientific proof backing up what they're recommending, speaking specifically to what you're looking at when it comes to masking up our children, the CDC calling for school masks regardless of vaccination status. And we now find out that this research, which was put together by Johns Hopkins scientific officials, they said that out of $42 billion from the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, that only about 2% of that money went to COVID clinical research, and not one single grant, not even one, was awarded to do any research on mask and children. So, but yet they continue to divvy out these recommendations and say that we should mask our children when not even one grant was put towards studying the impacts of that.
Yeah. Matthew, your thoughts on this?
So first of all, can you hear me this time? You got me?
Yep.
So first of all, I would say I commend Rand Paul on this. He's absolutely right. What the left is doing is tactics, not policies. And the left will push and probe and attack to see how much they can get away with. And it's time for Republicans, elected officials, to stand up and say enough. Let it be your private choice. So I commend Rand Paul for doing this. I think more Republicans and even middle-of-the-road Democrats, for goodness sakes, should start to do this. So I'm completely on board with this.
Okay, former Biden COVID advisor had this to say about the effectiveness of wearing cloth masks.
We know today that many of the face cloth coverings that people wear are not very effective in reducing any of the virus movement in or out. Either you're breathing out or you're breathing in.
Yeah. So, Heather, I think it should be clear. We're not saying that at least I'm not personally saying masks don't work. I'm not saying vaccinations don't work. I think what we're saying is give us the data to substantiate mask mandates, and and I think people would feel a lot better about that. It seems like it's not out there.
No, it's not out there. And just to repeat, so everyone understands at home, what I was saying, out of $42 billion from the National Institutes of Health, only 2% of that amount of money went to COVID clinical research, and not a single grant was awarded to research specifically masks and children. So it makes no sense at all to me. That right there alone makes no sense.
Yeah, and I think you could also have the discussion over whether the central government should be telling people to do. You know, President Trump had extended it to states to make their minds up. And that's another conversation we could have about where this is going. So stand by, panel. More coming up, including an elementary school in Fairfax County, Virginia, making young students listen to a woke book that discourages things like dehumanizing police. Ahead, we'll speak with one advocate who is trying to fight back.